Let's do a couple of puzzles for our last two chess segments. What's White's next move here? Enjoy the lecture.
What I'm going to do now is look at three important moments in Book 24 and connect them to three symbols that bind those moments to earlier passages in the Odyssey, and in the end I want to suggest create the meanings for these three moments and, in fact, for the Odyssey as a whole. I want to begin at the very end with that tacked-on non-battle and with something Laertes says in response to something he hears Odysseus and Telemachus talking about. I'm starting at line 502 of Book 24. But now came their way the daughter of Zeus, Athena, likening herself in appearance and voice to Mentor. Seeing her much enduring great Odysseus was happy, and presently he spoke to his dear son Telemachus. Telemachus, now yourself being present where men do battle, and the bravest are singled out from the rest, you must be certain not to shame the blood of your fathers, for we in time past all across the world have surpassed in manhood and valor. Then the thoughtful Telemachus said to him in answer, You will see, dear father, if you wish, that as far as my will goes, I will not shame my blood that comes from you, which you speak of. So he spoke, and Laertes also rejoiced, and said to them, What day is this for me, dear gods? I am very happy. My son and my son's son are contending over their courage. From the point of view of this passage, the point of having the tacked-on non-battle is in order to get Laertes and Odysseus and Telemachus all on the line together so they can talk about their battle skills and their winning of glory. It's about succession from father to son's son, and it has an amazing parallel at the moment when Odysseus strings the bow at the end of Book 21. Now, here's something that tends to get glossed over about Book 21 and the famous contest of the bow. There is one other person present who could string the bow. In fact, he almost does it, but then he stops. It's Telemachus. Telemachus, first of all, says that he is going to try to string the bow, and if he does string the bow, then his mom is going to go home and everybody's going to be happy. But I don't think it takes a degree in psychoanalysis or a belief in the doctrines of Sigmund Freud to see that there's something a little funny going on here when stringing the bow at least presumptively means that you are going to marry Penelope. But that's not the real problem here in Book 21. The real problem with Telemachus stringing the bow is that if he does so, Odysseus isn't going to get his nostos, right? Because if Telemachus strings the bow, then Odysseus won't have the bow to shoot the suitors with. So Odysseus makes a gesture with his head, a kind of no gesture, which in Greece means lifting your head rather than shaking your head. He makes that gesture, and Telemachus says, okay, I won't string the bow. He doesn't say that, but he puts down the bow and passes it on. This points out something really important about Telemachus's role in the Odyssey that we don't see quite so strongly elsewhere, which is that Telemachus has a problem in that unlike Orestes, to whom he's always compared, Orestes the son of Agamemnon, who avenges Agamemnon's death after Agamemnon failed to get his nostos. This is something we also hear about in Book 24, which is going to lead us on to a really good reason for the second Nukuya to be there in Book 24. Orestes, that is, gets the chance to be a warrior and get revenge for the death of his father. Well, Telemachus can't do that because his father is alive. And yes, obviously, it's very nice to have your father alive, but from a mythic standpoint, when you're always being compared to Orestes, where does that leave you? What are you going to do? Your dad wants that bow. Your dad needs that bow and that arrow, that long pointy arrow, one of the things that I tend to call power sticks. And you can just keep thinking of it as a power stick, or if you enjoy thinking about Freudian doctrine, you can think of it as something else as well. But in any case, the father owns it, and as long as he's around, the son isn't going to be able to have it. So what's up with the end of Book 24 with the tacked-on non-battle? Well, what I'm saying is I think the reason for that is so that we can see that there is a succession. Laertes passes his prowess on to Odysseus. Odysseus is going to pass his prowess on to Telemachus. And the little joking back and forth means, yes, Telemachus is going to get to be the warrior that he's supposed to be. we shouldn't worry too much about him. Of course, saying that you shouldn't worry too much about him makes us worry a little bit about him. So I think the Bard of Book 24 is saying, yes, it's a problem, and it's something we all need to think about, right? In our own daily lives, we're always thinking about what we owe to our fathers and whether we're going to be able to surpass our fathers, whether we're going to be able to be as good as our fathers. Obviously, that's kind of sexist, but it goes for all parents and all children, I think, as well. So what we find here is that this strange moment at the end of Book 24 actually does end up putting together a mythic theme that's been there from the very beginning, and that in turn relates to that overwhelming mythic theme that I keep talking about, the theme of being the Andra. What does it mean to be a father? What does it mean to be a son? And how are you supposed to negotiate that? How are you supposed to deal with your life once you've come home from the war at Troy, once you've come home from all of the struggles you had on the sea? What is there for you, and how are you going to negotiate things with your son when the only model that's out there is a much more violent, much sadder, more suffering-filled model than the one that you would like to set up?